So starting out, how did you get into Nigerians?
So probably like half the people that you've talked to, we originally started because we wanted something for our farm. So we had chickens, we had all the gateway things that we had started, and we purchased a couple of unregistered Nigerians from a good friend of ours and our 4-H leader. And then after having them for about a year, my daughter really got into it and really got into the showing and the showmanship piece. So we kind of shifted toward registered Nigerians at that point. She and I, she's off camera to the side. She and I took what we earned from the babies from our first set of unregistered goats, and we each purchased a registered doe, and then we kind of fell into the black hole of Nigerians from there. We heard that produces milk for our family and has a good, long, healthy lifespan. So we do milk tests, and we do linear appraisal, and we show, and we drink our milk, and we kind of do a little bit of all the things. In the era of COVID, and even before COVID, we have jobs where we can work at home. So I'm able to work online, helping people and teaching and educating through my computer, and my husband is as well. So that means that we have the luxury of being home, so we can be here for all of the kiddings, and we can check in on things. But what that also means is we're really busy like everybody else in this world.
Oh yeah.
So we do our absolute best. Doesn't mean we're perfect at anything, probably not. Do we do things the way we always wish we did them? Probably not, but we have time constraints, and we have, priorities shift on a day-to-day basis. So the way we kind of juggle our priorities is anything living is first priority, humans, animals, jobs, and then the house, and anything that's left at the end of the day that we can tackle. So it's a juggling game. I suspect everybody who's watching this can relate on some level. We are basically tropical, right? So it's a tropical climate where we are. And we'll go outside in a little bit, and you can see it's like a sunny Florida day in February here, and it's going to be probably 78 degrees today. But in the summer,
nice.
We're looking at temperatures. I know right now this is our summer. It's beautiful. I'm like, enjoy, be outside, do all the things. But in the summer, it's kind of brutal. Having to put fans on our goats and making sure we keep temperatures cool. I don't plant any kiddings for summer anymore because of brutal weather. So here in Florida, it's a semi-tropical, I call it tropical, but officially a semi-tropical environment. And it's hot, and it's humid, and it's buggy. So every parasite you can think of thinks this is an amazing place to be. So the primary ones, we deal with all the weird ones too that you hear about, random strange ones. Yes, we have those here. We unfortunately are starting to see more and more cases of the brain worms and the meningeal brain worms and things like that, and West Nile and Tripoli and things like that. But primarily we deal with what everyone deals with, which is homuncus.
Would you mind talking a little bit about the meningeal worms? I don't know if everyone knows what that is.
Okay, so I don't know a ton about them, to be fair. I just had to research them because I've had a few friends that have gone through this recently. My understanding, and full disclosure, anything I say is my understanding based on what I know. Please look it up yourself. My understanding is that it's a parasite that is actually transmitted through the host species, which is a snail or a slug. And then the goat or any other mammal actually eats like a leaf or a piece of grass or something that has come in contact with that slug or that snail, maybe even the slug or the snail. And then they get infected with the parasite. And it's a pretty nasty thing. And it's just common enough that we're starting to see it, but uncommon enough that we don't have great treatment methods. And it can lead to paralysis pretty quickly and all kinds of other things because it can actually get up into the brain, into other tissues of the body as well. My background before we became our own little homestead farmers is that I worked in the zoological industry for 15 years. So I've worked with African hoofstock for large zoological institutions, taking care of them, and also working as a behaviorist for the companies. So I've seen these issues come across in other African hoofstock, and goats being African hoofstock is my lead. So
very interesting.
I just think it's all things to look out for and be aware of because we do live in these tropics here. 90% of the people watching this are probably never even going to have to think about it.
So back to the barber pole. What is your experience with it?
Oh, at first I thought I was going to be fantastically natural with how I handled the worms on my farm. And it lasted about a season. It didn't go well. So I started researching, and I reached out to the universities and gathered as much information as I could. I heavily leaned on the WormX site and talked to the University of Florida to kind of come up with my own management plan. And what works for me is probably not going to work for anybody else. But what's working for us right now is a pretty heavy combination of summer rotation. So in the spring to summer, I'll take the goats and I start rotating them through pastures every 10 days. And then after they're off a pasture, I'm going to rest that pasture for 30 to 45 days, preferably 45. Again, we don't have solid data on the lifespan of the homunculus, so this is our best guess on bringing these numbers down through this rotation system. So then I'll rotate them throughout the summer. In addition to that, I'm staying on top of the homunculus. I run my own fecals. I have things set up in here so that I can run my fecals in my milk room to kind of keep track of it. And then something I discovered last year that I think probably everybody's heard a little bit of buzz about is the bioworma, the Australian product that we got access to here in the States last year. And I've been utilizing that. And I didn't have to use any chemical dewormers all summer, which is unheard of here in Florida.
Yeah, that's a pretty big accomplishment right there.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't have any evidence, right? I don't have any proof. I can just tell you, here's my experience.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the bioworma?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So this is it. This is the bioworma. It comes in this Livamol thing, which is a supplement. So great, helps with the coat, whatever, but that's not what I was going for. I was just trying to get access to the bioworma. You can purchase it. I think it's through Premier One is the only source right now. It could be Valley Vet, one or the other. And what it actually does is it's a pretty cool product because it's actually a fungus. So what it does is you feed it as a top dress to the goats. You have to feed it to everybody in the herd. They go out, they do their goat thing, right? They ruminate and then they poop. And then the fungus comes through into the feces and then it creates spores, and the spores actually eat out and seek and destroy and kill any parasites.
Wow,
So
that is cool.
It's pretty cool, right? So there's no opportunity for resistance because the parasites they're not reproducing. So they stop and they get consumed before they reach any type of life cycle. So you don't have to worry as much about building up a resistance. And it works kind of across the board for anybody in the herd, because what it's going to do is bring those pasture numbers down significantly. It's not going to touch the number that's in the individual animal at any given time, but it's going to really bring down the pasture numbers and stop them from eating it again and reconsuming and continuing the life cycle.
And do you top dress their grain, or how does that work?
It's super challenging the way they have it all written out. You have to know the math because it's from Australia. So it comes with this handy cup, right? And it's in grams, and you're supposed to figure out how much per goat based on the instructions on here. And I did all of the math, and here's what I can tell you for my herd: it's 1 cup per day as a top dress on their grain.
Okay.
It's spendy. It costs, I think this whole bucket was like $160 or something like that, but it does last me solid 6 to 8 weeks, which can get me through the peak of the worst of the season here in Florida. I would never use it year round as a management tool.
So one thing that I've noticed about the southern states is you tend to have your shows and sometimes your kiddings at a little different time than the north. In Wisconsin, a lot of people kid like March-ish. Now is when you're kidding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now is when we're kidding. I have babies in the barn right now. And we would be at the Florida State Fair right now if we had the Florida State Fair on schedule as usual.
Okay.
So
yeah.
This would be the week we start with our schedule. So we usually plan to have most of the babies on the ground. I prefer them around Christmas, but now would be ideal. If we look at my kidding schedule later, I'll show you, but we got off kilter this year because we brought in a buck that unfortunately wasn't able to cover any of the does successfully. I brought in a lot of goats from the West Coast, and it takes some time for them to settle here. So Isabel's like my partner in crime on the farm. So she has her own mini herd of goats within our herd of goats that she raises and cares for and shows. And she wanted to take a few minutes, we'll walk out, and she wanted to show you a few tips and tricks for any 4-H kids that might be interested in showing their goat. We all know shows can be really intimidating, and we just really want to set up all the kids for success as much as possible. So any kids that are out there that need help or anything, you reach out and let us know. We mean it. I'm a 4-H leader, and we mean it. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you're at a show. Her first year, she was in the end of every row. And she went in the ring and she learned and she paid attention and she watched, and the next goat she picked out to purchase, she's a better eye than I do, and she consistently smokes my goats in the ring. and she had 2 goats in the champion drive last year at the state fair. So you just have to pay attention and don't be afraid to get out there. We have some local shows that are coming up here, but and one county fair we're going to try to get to next weekend, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. It's not the same this year, but that's okay. That's not what it's about. It's still about learning. She still has her goats. She's still enjoying herself. So not necessarily about winning. She's going to bring out Kiwi. This is Winning Streak EB Kiwi. This is the first goat that she picked out with her own money to buy. We do this thing on our farm called goat bucks for the kids. Like, tip for any parents out there that your kids want your goats. They have to earn their goats. So if she doesn't have any income of her own or any money of her own, she can earn what we call goat bucks by training the goats and showing them in the ring for me or helping around the barn. So for every goat that she can successfully get ring ready and show, I don't care about placing, but just get in the ring and do a good job and have fun, and the goat's having fun, we give them 100 for $10 that they can put toward purchasing a goat of their own from our farm so they can have their own herd. So I want to show you guys this. When we first started showing, we didn't know what in the world these people were using as show collars on the goats until we finally got brave enough to ask. And for us, the one that's worked in the ring the best is just a standard dog snake chain with a clip on it. So this is what we use when we're showing. She shows dogs, so we know a little bit of the dog stuff. And then, but this is what we use when we're training them, just because it's a little bit gentler. And this is what we would use at home, but not necessarily in the ring. All right, so this is going Kiwi. She has Kiwi put up with her up for it. So if you notice when she picks up her leg, she's picking up the leg from the top, not from the feet, right? We see a lot of kids that jump in there and grab their feet. And what happens when you grab their feet? They start kicking and freaking out. So she's going to move the legs gently from the top. And that I still can't master, but anybody who knows how to show goats can show you how to pinch them down the correct way. So she has Kiwi trained to do what we would call in the dog world a free stack, where she just stands and holds her position when Isabel moves away. And I think it's well worth taking the time to do that for any kids that are going to show your goat, because the judges in showmanship are going to ask you to move all around the place, right? And you don't always have time to fix the legs and get them back where they are. So it's just about building it up over time and giving the goat scratches and rewards, and then they learn that they're supposed to just stay in that one place. So Isabel, what is it that they're looking for in the showmanship ring versus breed? Yeah. So you're going to be judged on, do they ask you questions?
Yeah, they ask you questions in goat showmanship about like the different parts of the goat and
So you need to know the scorecard. So you need to know your ADGA scorecard if you're showing goats, because they will come up to you and they will ask you things off of the scorecard. So they're actually judging you, not the goat. So you could go in there with the best goat in the world and still not do well. You could go in there with the lovely, well cared for, unregistered mix, and you could still win theoretically. It was an ADGA show, like at a fair. As long as you know what you're doing and you can explain it and your animal is well trained and you present it well, because it's all about that confidence, right? You got to go in there looking like you know what you're doing and you're proud of your animal. We've never kept a buck on our farm. So if we're going to keep one, it might be this guy. His mom is fantastic, but probably not. The one thing that we do with the babies is in addition, we do dam raise, which I know a lot of the show herds don't do, but we do. But we always make sure we have a lot of hands-on time. And with our babies, for our does, we spend a lot of time messing with their legs and their feet and getting them comfortable being handled and being set on the ground. So this is our site. Like I said, we're a small farm in Florida. I'm super fortunate that I have a talented graphic artist sister-in-law who could make my logo for me. That was a blessing. Quick picture of our farm so you guys can see where we are. So that's the barn that we were in. We were outside when we were showing the goats. We named our farm because we moved in. It was surrounded by a type of lily that can live here in Florida called crineum lilies. And for Florida, we actually we're on a hill. We actually have some slope, which is shocking for Florida. My son's dog. He can make a cameo solo.
Aw.
Then I could talk to you for hours about the ladies, but I won't. I'll just go through them quickly. So my first goat that I purchased, my first registered goat, is Novella. She's our herd queen and is likely retiring this year. She's a little bit older style, but sweet, great front end, excellent producer. Janelle's peanut butter pie wants to be the herd queen, is a powerful doe, and quote unquote, powerful doe that knows it, according to the appraiser last year. Pushed her way right out and was like, look at me. That's Peanut. This was Annie, so Farm Old South CT Antiquity Annie, who gave us 3 bucklings and a doe when she kidded 3 weeks ago. She was huge, but she's doing very well now.
How is
I
she
like her
milking?
brisk.
Or have you not done a test on her yet?
She did well. So last year she's Annie's interesting story. So she came to us because she actually had only half of her mammary was working due to an injury before she came to us. So we spent last year putting her in laser therapy and massaging and working on it to get her udder back. And now her udder is perfect and gorgeous. So I would be curious to see what her numbers look like this year. She earned her star easily, but I don't think she was milking to her potential with half of an udder last year. So
Oh yeah. Well, that's
so
very
to be
interesting.
determined. Right, yeah, but she's gorgeous, and her udder was phenomenal now that it's there. Saros is new to us, so we brought Saros in from the West Coast this last year, and we're excited about her. She's a Drops of Jupiter granddaughter, so hopefully we'll have some babies this spring. This is Isabel's showmanship goat, Lily, and this is the kid that she was holding was her carbon copy buckling. Lily does fantastic. Lily got her junior leg and won best in show at her first show, and she's just a real pretty lady. Isabel picked her. Novella
That's a nice
doesn't do
looking
it. Isabel's goats. You can see the look. Isabel's look. My look is like old-fashioned, short, stocky. Rose is my newest love. We also brought her in. We brought in 3 goats from Denise Hetland. So this is also Rose. She unfortunately kidded here last year with really small quads and lost all 4 of them. So we're anticipating a better year this year, but she's just got a lovely udder. This is Kiwi, who you saw as a yearling. So you can see she's really a lot bigger now and has developed and is much stronger. We have high hopes for her. Stormy, unclipped. This was the first goat born on our farm, so she stays for life. And this is Pole Dancer, goes by Dancer. Keep an eye on this one. I cannot wait for her to freshen. She has not been with us long enough to freshen, but she's a stunning doe. And she knows it.
Yeah, she looks fancy.
Yeah, she is. And then for our boys, we have a new one who's not on here. Glamour Shots pending, but this is Frosty. So we are lucky we have 2 of the Old South goats. So we have Annie and then we have Frosty, who was our first herd sire and really made a big mark on our herd. So there's Frosty, our white Muppet, who we call Santa at Christmas time. And then this new little guy, Moon Station Salty Dog, he's a combination of Woodbridge and Old Mountain Farm, and I'm really excited to have him here. And his babies have been really fancy and really correct so far. So this is our young guy that we're working with right now this season. Give us another year or 2 to prove him, but he's a good looking guy too. So we really wanted to bring some width in. That was the one thing I felt like we were missing the most in our herd, was we needed to bring in some width in the rear. Seems to be a problem in Florida in general, maybe the whole South, maybe the whole breed. So we specifically looked for him to bring that in.
Got it.
And then our events page, not really doing much right now. Everything's on hold, but we do historic events, milking demonstrations, and we sell soap at vendor events.
Oh, very fun. We do a lot of the similar stuff. We've done a like a Pioneer Days type thing and let people milk the goat. Yeah, it was a ball.
I miss that. I miss that the most, actually. Yeah. I could give or take the shows, but my daughter loves them, so we will continue with that. But I really miss doing the milking demonstrations and the events. More than
Great.
anything.
Well, if anyone would like to contact you about your herd or goats or reservations or anything, what's the best way to reach you?
So we are on Facebook. You have to just do a quick search for Lily Hill, Florida, usually, because then it weeds out. Like there's a fantastic Airbnb in the UK that's also called Lily Hill. So look for Lily Hill, Florida, and you'll find my logo and us, or you can reach us through the website. I'm admittedly the worst about checking my website emails on a consistent basis. So I will get back as quick as I can when I remember to check my email. So Facebook is usually the fastest way to reach me. We do have a couple pretty cool pairings coming up this spring between the Hetland does and then some of our Woodbridge line bred does. So we are here in Florida and happy to help anybody.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck with your season. Have a great year.
Thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.